Hello, and thanks for joining us again today. We're going to look at an inkstand that belonged to John Fletcher. You may remember that recently we looked at a lamp, a small lantern, which belonged to John Fletcher as well. And we thought it was interesting to actually compare these two items next to one another, because they're both made from glazed tin in a kind of sort of maroon brown color, and it looks almost like they could have been made by the same person. They were used in Madley in the West Midlands, where John Fletcher, who was a contemporary of Wesley, a friend and early theologian, where he was stationed. So they could possibly both have been made in Madley or around there. Anyway, this here is a really interesting inkstand, and in fact you wouldn't expect it to be an inkstand. It's in the shape of two books, as you can see, and it opens up. In fact, before we open it up, you can see the label here. There's an old label which defines it as Mr. John Fletcher of Madley's desk or study inkstand, and this must have been put on, I would think, in the possibly 1840s, 1850s, certainly around 150 years ago or so. The inkstand probably dates to about 1770, 1780. Very unusual. I've never seen one like this before. It's a novelty inkstand, and it was probably thought very appropriate for a man who was a scholar, a theologian, and obviously a writer as well as a preacher. So it opens up. Incidentally, I also would think that it was probably a gift. And we've got a little inkwell here, and then we've got a little box or a little stand for sand, for blotting sand. And I would imagine that we've lost one. We probably would have had two of these little inkwells, but one seems to have disappeared. Plus there's a compartment for quills, so you could have had your feather quills in here and you could have carried the whole thing with you. Now, this still preserves the original cork. In fact, you can see that there are traces of ink on the cork. The ink's quite dark. And although it's tin overlaid, this is actually made of glass, and you can see how the glass has got damaged. But glass was a much better way of preserving ink than tin would have been. In fact, the tin would have leaked, so that's probably why the glass was chosen in the first instance, so there wouldn't be any leakage. And here you would have kept your blotting sand. You basically used blotting sand on ink in the 17 and 1800s because the ink flow out of a quill was much stronger than a modern fountain pen, for instance, and you needed to dry the ink once it had got onto the paper. So you would have shaken the sand onto your ink after writing, and that would have blotted it off. Later on you had blotting papers, and then these days you don't need either sand or blotting papers anymore. So a really interesting little thing, unique in our collection, and as I say, I've never seen a similar one elsewhere. Condition is still really quite good, everything considered, for something that is over 200 years old. Yeah, and just the sort of thing I would imagine that he would have been given as a gift. It's just the sort of thing you might want to give somebody, I think, perhaps for a birthday or Christmas. Thanks for joining. Join us next time.